Since I finished the amp rack, Fernando has set it into the car and got it into place, hooking up power and ground and plugging in the RCAs. The next task is to set the gains, and then once the gains are set, we're going to set the crossover points. It's critical that we set the crossover points with accuracy because we don't want to damage the tweeters. For this, I would either recommend, hopefully you're using a DSP, maybe a radio that has network mode, or if you're a fan of the SMD tools, the CC1 crossover calibrator. You can also keep an eye on it with an RTA if you're looking at like what's going on there, but the CC1 will give you your best luck. Let's get started. To do this, we're gonna play some test tracks from up front. I'll be back here turning the dials and yelling at him what I'd like him to do. Make sure when you're doing distortion detection that the speakers are not connected to the amplifier. That's a good way to blow your speakers for sure. They're not made to do what you're testing for. I know, it's ridiculous. To use a DD1 or a DD1 Plus, one lead is going to attach to ground. The other one is going to attach to, most of the time, the positive speaker terminal, but sometimes it will be the negative speaker terminal, so don't freak out if it doesn't work. We'll do the highs first. 1000 hertz, -5. Turn up the volume.
All the way up.
We have a blue light indicating we are good. We have a green light indicating signal. We'll start slowly turning up the volume knob. And that top light will light up red when it's so you don't want it on, so turn it until it's gone. We're good there. We'll go to our next set of channels. We have signal, do the same thing. Now it's on to the sub channel where we're gonna play 40 hertz. When setting your subwoofer level control, be honest with yourself. If you have a subwoofer level control on the radio that you're gonna be using, make sure you turn that up. Turn all of it up, so you want the maximum amount of features turned up. And then if you're gonna use -10 dB, it'll make sense because you'll have some control to turn things down. Remember, a lot of the times you're turning up to turn down. I know that sounds strange. But either way, our gains are set. Now we're gonna move on to the crossover calibrator, which is always a little bit more fun. The crossover calibrator has gator clips that are gonna clip onto the output of the amplifier. Be careful when doing this because the amplifier is on and you don't want those gator clips to touch because you could damage your amplifier. On the crossover calibrator, it has a couple lights, power and signal. When the signal is green, you're within its perfect operation. When it is red, you need to turn it down. You have on, off, and read. When you select read, you have these two arrows here at the top. There's a blue light in the middle, and the idea is that you're gonna turn this up and down until you find the frequency that you're looking for. Kind of see it going up and down there. So we need to get it right in the middle. Boom. That doesn't happen that often. I'm actually really proud of myself. We'll move on to setting up channels 5 and 6, which is going to be a bandpass. To set the bandpass, we're going to use that same 2600 hertz that we set the tweeter crossover at, but now we're gonna set it on the low pass side. We'll do that first, and then we'll turn those off, and we'll set what we want the bottom of the mid-range to be. So we've just set the top, meaning we want it to play up to that, and then of course the tweeter will take over. Now we'll set the high pass, which is gonna be 80 hertz for the mid bass. Each time you go to use your crossover calibrator, shut it off, turn it back on. You want it fresh and ready to go. All right, we're back on. He's playing 80 hertz. I got my green light there. I'll select read and see it's like oh man, boom, there we go. We have 80 hertz. Now that we have those, turn back on the low pass, and now we've created the band pass between 2.6 or 2600 and 80. And since it's playing 80 hertz, we now move on to the subwoofer to set that. Cycle calibrator, it's still within range. Select read, low pass on. So close, come on, get there, get there. Just a hair, perfect. If you want, you could also set up a subsonic filter because this still has a bandpass capability, and a subsonic filter is basically a bandpass for the subwoofer. Something like 25 hertz, 30 hertz, something like that, you can. And just to do that, we might as well. Just like you did on the mid bass, turn off the crossover and turn on the high pass. We have signal now, select read. And that's it. Now we have a 25 hertz subsonic filter. Turn back on the low pass filter. And just like that, you're done. Don't rush these things. These things take time. Next, mentally go through and look at the amplifier and make sure everything is turned on that needs to be turned on, because we were turning a lot of things on and off. Looking at channels 1 and 2, low pass is on, high pass is on, acting as a subsonic. Moving on to our front, high pass on, and the 10-time multiplier switch, and input mode 4, which means these RCAs here are feeding this and this. And then on channels 5 and 6, band pass, the high pass on without the 10-time multiplier switch, because this is our 80 hertz. Low pass is on with the 10-time multiplier switch, because this is mimicking this over here. So this is our 2.6 or 2600. Gains are set. Almost time to rock and roll. We're gonna turn this thing off. We're gonna hook our speaker wires up into the car. We'll do a quick polarity check to make sure that everything is correct, and then you get to listen to it. We'll bring you along for the polarity check, but not for the boring wiring part, because it's boring. It's all up in place. The lab is good. One of the things we haven't touched on yet is the subwoofer enclosure that we're using. This is a custom-made ported enclosure. It's designed to sit in the back of Fernando's car, the lab facing up. Wanted to make sure we got enough airspace to do this subwoofer justice, and seeing how all of our equipment is towards the front of the car, only makes sense to put it towards the back, and it's at a slight wedge, push the sound forward. One of the things to think about, when we set up those gains, we set those up for maximum volume. That doesn't mean we have to leave them there. A lot of people wanna, I gotta get, no. What we're just trying to figure out is how loud we can play those, but more than likely, we're gonna need to go in and turn them down. We know where the ceiling is. We don't have to go all the way up to the ceiling. We can bring them down, because we have to blend the tweeter with the mid-range. Something you don't really do in a DSP, but we're going to be doing it at the amplifier. And most of the time the tweeters do need to attenuate down some, because they're, one, higher, two, way more efficient than the mid-range. And if they're drowning out the mid-range, then it just doesn't sound right. That's where listening to it comes in. But before we listen to it, as I said, time to do a polarity check. The familiar sound of polarity pop. Green's on my side. There's a green there. 2 greens in a row, we're all good. Anytime you unscrew the speaker wires, make a new connection, or do anything like that, I don't care how expert you are, always do a polarity pop. All it takes is one distraction to screw the whole thing up. His armrest.
Yeah,
feels good.
Somebody like make a hole the other day in here, so.
Who remembers that in the video? I don't know if that even made the cut. I dropped something on his armrest and totally ripped it, so I bought him a new armrest, obviously, because I ripped it. Before we let you guys hear it, we're gonna play some DRM free stuff for you. We were playing some of our normal music that we typically tune a car to. This is Fernando's car, even though it is the lab. That's why I'm sitting over here. These things sound great. I want to turn the tweeters down, because I feel they're just coming in a little hot. He, of course, is like, nope, these are perfect.
That's good, that's good.
They're perfect. Yeah. These things, they sound fabulous. These are some of like the best out of the box, put them in the car and listen speakers that I've ever heard. They sound fabulous. They did a really nice job. And even though I feel like the tweeter is too loud, I've just turned the volume down, and it's a, it makes me happier. They're very crisp for a dome, for a soft dome. Very crisp, very accurate, they have a lot of that sizzle. How would you describe it?
Soft dome tweeter, and they're very crispy. They're very nice.
Fair disclosure, these are broken in. These aren't fresh out of the box. They've actually been in the car for a good 6 months.
A little bit more, yeah.
Or longer. Yeah. So these are fully broken in.
Oh,
they're not like, hey, we just put them in. No, these are fully broken in. But even when we originally put them in, they sounded great. For those guys out there, I know some are going, wait, what? I thought subwoofers just broke in. No. All speakers break in. Yeah. Some do it faster than others. Now it's your turn. Now we're going to play some of the DRM free stuff so you guys can take a listen. Like that snap. It's just right away. It doesn't drag out. It's just like
the mid bass is.
Yeah. Oh, the mid bass is kicking it. It has way more power. Yeah. So we're using that 5 and 6 for the mid bass. We have less power going to the subwoofer. Yeah. But we have that big up front sound.
I like it.
That song, there's like some little stuff going on in the background that you can totally hear, and on a normal system, you wouldn't even know it was there. It's kind of funny. All right, well, that's what it sounds like normally. Well, one of the cool things about this amplifier is the variable bias. And I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for us to play with that. Right now we have it set to minimum. We're gonna turn the tweeter up to maximum, and we're gonna adjust the mid bass to about 12 o'clock, just because we can. We're gonna leave the subwoofer alone. It doesn't need anything more. We're not worried about that. But the tweeter is where I feel most of you are most curious, because the higher the bias number, the closer it becomes to an A amplifier as opposed to an AB class amplifier. And if you recall, we drilled these holes in the bottom. We'll play the same tracks that we listened to before. Something different, and I know this because the tweeters aren't bothering me the way they bothered me before. Okay. Like, because you know how I wanted to turn them down? That's gone. Like, now to me they sound different, but in a better way. Like, there was an annoying, that's why I was like, can I turn them down? And you're like, no. And by doing that, I don't think it changed it. Like, it's not like a night and day difference. It's not like, oh my god, no, but there was something there that was bugging me that isn't bugging me anymore. Playing that same song, like when that really loud click, you know, snapping comes on, it was too much before, and that's why I reached over to turn it up, because I was like, well, wait a minute, let me turn it up, and there's just something different. I wish I could sit here and be like, oh my god, it's this. Right. But it's not. It blends better? It maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, you gotta remember, most amplifiers, the bias is done by engineers. They set this stuff up. They're going for a specific sound or efficiency or something like that. So having a variable bias is definitely, like, it's a toy, and it's not anything that you can just sit there and be like, oh yeah, and like I said, he can't hear it. He's not hearing it. No. For him, this means absolutely nothing. But to me, something different. The mid bass sounds the same. I don't think. I mean, I would lie if I say, oh yeah, I mean, No, and that's why. Exactly. No, I was like, I want to play different music that I listen every day, so I can see. Well, yeah, it'd be nice if you could just, like, it would be cool if there was a switch, cool. Like up front, dude. You can press a button. Yeah. That'd be fun. But there isn't. Nice. All right, let's play another song. Alright guys, I would like to thank Ground Zero for sending us this uranium product and letting us have this amount of fun with it. This has definitely been, for us, one of the funnest labs we've had the opportunity to do. The labs are a fun thing for us because it gives us the ability to try out new things, and this was definitely a new thing for us. Alright guys, on to the next one. You guys have a great night as always. We'll see you later next time. Bye. Bye.